So, hey, everybody from the Fearless Road, listeners and my road warriors out there, welcome back. Because today, you can see the excitement on my face if you were watching me, but if you're listening to me, this is the excitement in my voice. It's really excited. I'm excited because today's show, you guys probably, you might remember, you might recall, I've talked a little bit about my performing career. So I do have a performing career, was a showboy in Vegas for many years. And I love show business. Love the shows, love the dancing, love the whole thing. The whole kit and caboodle, or as I'm going to call it today, the cat and caboodle. Because who's on with me today but the amazing Cat Lacohie, otherwise known as the Vixen DeVille. And this is a special episode. When we're in the business of entrepreneurship and talking about fear and talking about how we navigate the fearless road, how we utilize fear as a fuel or tool and ways to incorporate that into our lives, I'm not sure that there's anything that really sort of gets to the heart of this better than my guest today with Kat, who takes us on a very, very good and cool journey on her fearless road. So I'm just going to, I'm going to spit it out. I'm going to do the intro and I'm going to read a little bit here. So bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Starting her career in London, England, with the appearances at Café de Paris, the Ritz Hotel, and 3 West End runs at the Charing Cross Theatre, or Theatre. Vixen has since relocated her act to Los Angeles with appearances at the Viper Room, amazing, LA Convention Center, and of course the Roosevelt Hotel, love, as well as venturing, of course, to Vegas, performing at the Orleans, the Hotel, the XS nightclub at the Wynn, among many others. She has an award-winning, multi-talented, and international variety burlesque show that she live hosts, specializing, of course, in fire eating, glass walking, aerial hula hooping, or aerial hooping, and magic. But what's really, really important for us today on the Fearless Road is how she applies this particular skill set and what she does to helping build self-awareness, self-worth, and self-value. So in addition to her performances, she crafts one-on-one supportive workshops and environments where students get to become part of an international award-winning performer and show, building their self-confidence and their body awareness. She's done worldwide performances, online performances in webinars, as well as one-on-ones. She just completed a class, I believe it was just last week, if not the week before, right, in Los Angeles, which was pretty amazing. And there's a big, big event coming up this spring I hope to be part of, where I get to learn how to eat fire, since I spit it all day long. Hello. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Vivid Vixen, Cat Lacohie, to the Fearless
Oh my God.
Road.
Thank you. Thank you. What a fabulous introduction.
We're going to applause.
Here's the applause.
Yeah.
I got excited to meet this person that you're talking about. Like, whoa.
Who is she? Got to get to know that
Who
one.
is this person?
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about, okay, so like this is where we transition. I've done your intro. Everybody's amazed. Walk us up to the door of Kat's life. Like how you got here, right? We are here. We're this is their journey. This is where you've taken us. This is the path that we're on with introducing burlesque as a art form, not just in terms of performance, but also as an art form for healing, body awareness, self-worth, and value, and corporate culture mindfulness. So for those of us who don't know you and those of us who don't know your past, let's get caught up real quick with Kat about how you got here.
Oh my gosh. It's the longest story. I'll try to cut it down to the best parts. So
all right, the highlights. So I started off in North England, in Newcastle, as I was born, and I spent my whole childhood thinking, oh, I'm not in London, nothing great can happen, like only good things happen in London or in LA or these bigger places, So I grew up thinking, oh, I'm like playing it small kind of thing. And I was super shy. I was terrified of people. I was getting criticized all the time. And I found acting as a way to sort of escape being me, basically. I love the idea of I can be anybody else. I don't have to be myself anymore. And of course, when you get into acting, you realize that's absolutely not what acting is. It's bringing your true self to the role and really being very vulnerable about showing exactly who you are.
So I got it totally wrong when I first started acting. I had found physical theatre, which I loved because it was using your body to express yourself and being fully embodied when I hated my body. And I hated dance classes. I didn't look like everybody else. I wasn't the skinny person. I wasn't super flexible. And so my favorite form of performance was physical theatre, devising, being able to write stories and not just be the actor saying the lines, but to create your own art as well. So then I moved to London because that's where all the things happen, according to me. And I trained in theatre, all the rest of it. And then when I graduated, I found this breakdown for what was burlesque. And I'd never heard of burlesque. I didn't really know what it was. I knew about like variety and music hall and cabaret, but not specifically burlesque. And I was super drawn to it because you got the opportunity to be sexy rather than like bring it, like saying that I'm sexy, I'm going to bring attention to myself and wear short skirts or whatever, and then be criticized for it. It's like, here's a platform where you're allowed to be. And also expressing other versions of yourself. And it just seems really creative and fun. But again, I shied away from it because I thought, I can't sing, I can't dance, I still hate my body. Why would anyone accept me into this group? I'm not good enough for this. So I saw the show instead. And when I saw the show, I thought, oh my God, it's not what I thought. It's not a chorus line of everyone looking exactly the same. It's each individual person celebrating exactly who they are. And some were comedy, some were bombshells, some were like a bit more neo. So I joined that troupe, which is a story in itself. Oh, I did tell you. I said I went to the show and I got drunk after the show. I was like, I used to be in your show. and then that's when they were like, we'll come and audition. So I was part of this troupe for about 5 years in London, which was my sort of being under their wing, of being able to experience, oh, there's magic acts and there's aerial acts and fire performers and sideshow. And I was able to really immerse myself in this world. So when I moved to LA in 2012, I just took what I already knew from London and just kind of delved into the world out here. And then in 2014, I started teaching and realized that the journey I'd had in burlesque had opened me up as a person, had really built my confidence, had allowed me to do things in my life that I really would not have been able to do if I hadn't got that confidence from burlesque. And so my goal was, I don't want people to shy away from burlesque because I think it's just a dance class, because it's not that. It's self-exploration, rewriting your story, exploring your character, building your confidence and saying to the world, look at me, and demanding to be seen. And so since 2014, it's just got bigger and bigger, and it's just been such fulfilling work. And that's how I'm here.
Yay. I say yay and welcome, everybody. Kat Lacohie, or otherwise known as the Vivid Vixen. You know, it's interesting because I don't know. I hope you guys can't hear the air conditioning. I apologize if that's the case for ladies and gentlemen that are out there. You know, we're being vulnerable and we're being authentic. And I work in a studio, in a converted shed in the mountains of New Mexico. And it doesn't have air conditioning, so I have to use a little air conditioning unit to help me stay cool in this 98-degree weather. So I apologize if you can hear the hum and the buzz. But you know what? Humming and buzzing is all right, because that's what the bees and the birds do, and we're just gonna go with it. So if it's in the background and you don't like it, I apologize, but you know, embrace it. That's what I'm gonna say. So
embrace the hum.
This is one of the things I love about A, what you do, B, that you discovered that it gave you confidence. It helped you find your self-confidence and a different value for yourself in terms of your body image, your body worth, your ability to communicate, socialize with people, and to be in groups and stuff differently than you were before, and to step wholly into a different version of yourself than you were prior to this. And one of the things I forgot, I don't even think about, you know, mind you, when I went into dance and stuff, I didn't think about this stuff. You know what I mean? I was told, oh, you're a good dancer, you should try out for this thing or whatever. I was 19, had no business doing this, and I took to it like a duck to water. Like, apparently mad skill sets, crazy ability. And, you know, my best friend at the time, Diana, who will, you know, loves to tell the story about how I couldn't touch my toes, let alone save my life in a ballet class, to flash forward, 2 or 3 years later to being a professional doing it in such a short window of time. And she was like, after I've worked so hard in my entire life to learn to do this stuff, and here you come along and all of a sudden you just do it. And it didn't occur to me, A, that I couldn't do it. B, it didn't occur to me that I was gaining any sense of self-confidence or identity through doing it. I just did it. I just loved doing it. You know what I mean? I had no problem being on stage, no problem accessing those parts of myself. I've always been exceedingly blessed, I think, in terms of that confidence. But I love that what we do or what we did, can provide a platform for others to find self-confidence and build a sense of identity outside of what they're used to, right? In addition to or beyond their own understanding of who and what they are. This can help you gain an additional perspective, another facet to your personality, or maybe just overcoming some social phobias and fears that you may have about being in front of, talking in front of, and performing in front of other people, whether that's a presentation that you do at the office, right, to pitch a new sales a pitch, or whether you're, going in for an interview or you're starting a business as an entrepreneur. Self-confidence is a massive player in how we approach the things we do in our lives as entrepreneurs. So thank you for sharing that with us. I think it's really cool. Like, before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen, where can we find you if we want to get to you online and we want to take one of your classes? What do we do?
Absolutely. So I hang out on Instagram and Facebook mainly. Instagram, I have my Cat Lacohie at Cat Lacohie, all one word straight through. And that's more of my motivational speaking and sort of behind the scenes stuff of just kind of what I'm up to. And then Vixen DeVille is at Vixen DeVille, all one word. And that is more about my performance, some of my students, what my classes, where my classes are happening. So I have both. I would say I always follow both. And then my website, vixendeville.com. And then my Cat Lacohie is speaker.catlacohie.com as well.
Awesome. Okay, so you guys got that information. It'll be, of course, on the YouTube channel and any of the links that I can provide. So totally going to be there for you guys. If you need it, just reach out. You can email me. Or you can reach us on the FEAR-LESQUE.com, and I'll get you that data and that information. In the meantime, while we're building our identity as entrepreneurs, business people, visionaries, leaders, we are just actually doing another interview earlier today talking about the corporate mindset and the shift that we are experiencing and watching and seeing in the world of the corporate mindset and corporate culture. Providing opportunities, workshops, and ways to get leadership more in line with and more authentic with their messaging with employees, right? And do you find, have you worked with a lot of corporate companies in order to help with this, or is it individual one-on-one things that you find yourself being more?
I have worked with some corporate companies, and it actually was really eye-opening, the difference between being authentically you and second-guessing what you think people want. Because some part of my brain went, oh, I'm doing corporate. That means I have to now corporate Barbie myself. Like, I can't be daytime Barbie or Malibu Barbie. I have to be corporate Barbie. I have to change what I'm wearing, it's about the different brands of yourself, the versions of yourself. So part of me was like, oh, I can't, maybe I shouldn't say the word burlesque. I have to say performance art, or I can't say your burlesque persona. I have to say your alter ego, and maybe change my verbiage a little bit, which I have done when I've taught children, because I've done some confidence in teenagers, and I've changed it from femme fatale to the panther or whatever. But I realized that they didn't want, sometimes when they don't know you, maybe that's the foot in the door, because there is the fears and everything else. But I had this woman hire me to come and do a workshop with her. It was for 150 people. It was about accessing the feminine in the entrepreneur world. So rather than, oh, I'm a female entrepreneur, I have to be masculine, I will use masculine energy, accessing your feminine energy and using that in business. So I come along and I think, well, I'm not going to dress up in my burlesque stuff, because I don't want to be like, hi, I'm the burlesque performer and I look amazing, and you're just, standard civilians. I wanted to be like approachable, and I wanted to be like, you too can be me, you know? And I got there and she's like, oh, where's your burlesque stuff? And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I mean, I have it in my car, but I didn't want to like throw
Isn't
it
that
in
fun?
people's faces or, you know?
Well, and this is what I think is interesting. Before we are having a workshop on building authenticity, a workshop on identifying our authentic nature and authenticity and bringing that to the workplace, finding ways to engage and embrace our femininity, or what I should say, we probably should define that, because I feel like it's been poorly defined, especially in corporate world. But the fact that the very first thing that you are doing is trying to adjust your authentic self to meet an expectation already, right? This is what we do when we go
I'm
into the
teaching
corporate world.
authenticity as
Exactly,
well.
exactly. I mean, the absurdity of it is not lost on
Yeah,
me, that we
yeah.
literally are trying to present a version of ourselves rather than just be the authentic version of ourselves, right? But this is not something. I was talking to the gentleman, Jay Thompson of the Hike the Mountain. He teaches corporate visionaries and leaders and things like that how to bring that cultural change to the workplace, but also how to be that cultural change, right? If you're going to create a new strategy for cultural mindfulness and awareness and openness, right? You as a leader have to be that. And I was talking about how we've got a system we've been living in and working in for many, many years that rewards conformity over authenticity, that embraces being quiet and not speaking up and not sharing too much, risk averse, versus taking a chance, sticking your neck out and trying to show your own colors or your ideas. There's been a community, I should say, a society that has been built since the 80s on this very idea, that you're an employee, you're not to offer your feedback, your input is not needed, leaders do that. And there's been no reward system in place for this. And now here we are moving and shifting into this new space where we're asking you to get vulnerable. We're encouraging, in fact, staff and employees are demanding that companies are more socially aware and active and have a presence, which then means you then as a company have to identify who you are socially, ethically, morally, psychologically, who are you and who do you want to be?
I think people are getting so much more savvy with their buying their purchase power, their buying power, and the fact that there's so much more available. Like 10 years ago, you couldn't just go on your mobile phone and go on Facebook and do all the things. You could, it's everything's available to you now. So now it's not, oh, I want a car. Who do I go? Who does the best car? Or I want to go and order takeout. What's nearest? It's, oh, does Chick-fil-A support? Does Chick-fil-A not support homosexuality? I'm never going to buy from them. Or I've heard that Amazon does this to suppliers. I'm going to boycott Amazon. People are now going to businesses because of their mission and their goals and the way they treat people and what they stand for. Not just, is this product what I need and is it going to fulfill a purpose?
Yeah, I think we're at the crossroads between convenience and social awareness. The fact that our advertising, our social media, which we didn't have social media before, let's call it what it was before there were iPhones and this convenience of these platforms, social media and a social brand was not something specifically that the public had access to. It was something they were told, it was something they were sold, and it was something that was marketed to them. It wasn't something they engaged with. Now here we are. Not only can you research, study, be aware of, and follow your favorite brands, but you can hold them socially accountable to their messaging and mission through these very platforms that they then use to ensure that they are communicating, engaging with their primary customers and clients. So we've switched everything around now. So the power of this is definitely in the hands of the individual more than it's ever been before. We have a socially conscientious, responsibility to the greater good of society, to hold these companies accountable. And not just, in terms of what's convenient for me because I get this cheap, easy, quick, and fast, which is, most of us fall into, and most of us have been sold and marketed that very concept for many years. That isn't this great? You can get it for less, and you can get it cheaper, and you can get it whenever, without thinking for a second what the long-term costs were. None of us knew that the people in Bangladesh were making those cheap t-shirts, or kids in China were manufacturing our toys that we give to our children. Like, nobody paid attention to that because we didn't have access to that information, and our only demand was that it's cheaper and more convenient. And America's gotten lazy where that's concerned.
I just launched a whole bunch of Vixen merch, and part of it was eyelashes and eyelash glue. And I'm like, I've tested these and it's really good quality, blah, 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 blah. And I had at least 5 people instantly go, is it tested on animals? Is it vegan? Is it this? And I was like, yes, absolutely. And I originally, when I was looking at that, because of the vendors that were selling me the product were highlighting these elements that I hadn't even really thought to consider, that that's what people are going to be asking. And so I have a responsibility from my brand to say that Vixen isn't going to put shit out into the world. Vixen is not going to put out like harmful products into the world. So you do get this responsibility. And especially with people being able to now call you out on stuff or post about you or question you, authenticity is super, super important. Because if I'm doing something, standing for something because it's a trend or because I think that's going to get me business, and if I stand for whatever it is, I've been watching the Depth versus Herd trial documentary. So say I decided to pick a side, right? Say I had no interest. I know it's crazy. Say I had no interest in that trial, but just to promote my stuff, I started going justice for Depp or justice for Johnny or whatever. And then someone goes, oh, Vixen DeVille is with Johnny, blah, 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 and they pick at me. Well, now I can't stand up for that opinion because I just had that opinion because it's the trending hashtag. So maybe I changed to justice for Herd. And there's like, oh, right. So you have to be able to say, this is what I stand for. This is what I do. This is what's going on. So that when you do get criticism or judgment or trolls or whatever, you can be like, yeah. Like someone said, oh, you posted this on YouTube and I don't understand why you were naked. I was like, because it was a burlesque act.
Yeah.
Bye now. Like, I don't have to go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Was that offensive? I go, yeah.
Well, and I think that is the tricky, I don't even want to say quagmire because it is kind of a quagmire, but in a world where, and by the way, this is what we straddle, you and I and others straddle this place where being and becoming what you need me to be was my job. Learning how to edit the parts of me that I think you may or may not approve of or like became a full-time job for me to ensure that you continued to like and approve of me. Both at school, at work, at home. We give a different version of ourselves to every person. I'm probably one of the best examples of how I deliver and provide a very different version of myself to each one of my friends. They each see a different version of me. And it's funny when we all get together and they're like, whoa, who's this guy?
Because then you don't know who to be, right?
Well, I don't know that I don't know who to be. I just like the different pieces of me that they bring out. But what this does is, like social bias, I have my own biases about myself that I'm unaware of, that automatically come into play and begin to filter and begin to separate and begin to divide the pieces of me according to the room and the people I'm around to ensure I'm giving you the best version of me at that time, right? And while most of us probably don't think of it this deeply and don't realize we're doing it, that is what we do in the world. When you go into a Starbucks or you get on a plane flight and you pop those headphones in because you don't want to be bothered, or you're excited about something because you just had a big win and your energy is infused, and you're trying to talk about it with and share it with other people, or when you go into the office at work and you're not allowed to be socially boisterous and outgoing, so you tone it down and you wear muted colors and you just fit in so that you don't stand out. And what we're asking for, I'm sure what Kat is asking for, is to find your standout. What is that part of you that is the OG, the original piece, the authentic piece? And this journey of discovering what that is, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is not an easy road for us to walk down. The Fearless Road is not, it's not a destination. You don't get there overnight. And you do have to ask the questions about what authenticity means to you. You have to begin to define what success and self-value and worth and integrity are for you if you're going to be authentic, if you're going to try to be authentic. And I don't know that there's too many other really great ways to try to do this than to get on stage with Kat and really test out your boundaries. You know what I mean? Really get into some uncomfortable zones to ask yourself. Like, that's where we grow. That's where we find some truths about ourselves. And most of us, I think, have gotten to a place where we're so comfortable with our Netflix special that we don't veer, you know what I mean, into the wildly unknown and uncomfortable. We just slowly stop doing as much of that as we used to. And I'm wondering if when you're in these classes and you have these people coming in, what is the biggest thing that you see when they're like having these aha moments about themselves and about their environment, about their bodies? What is it that you witness as their mentor and their professor, Vixen?
Ooh, so many things to say about that. Very, very recently, I did a class for a YouTube channel, and I think 4 of their girls took the class, then sort of feedback on it, and they all came in so terrified, even though they're YouTubers, right? They're used to be in front of camera, and they used to, but this class is being filmed from a number of different angles, and they're all very, at the beginning of the class, I said, oh, what is coming up for you before we start class? And one of them said, well, I'm actually a dancer, so I'm feeling the pressure to be good at this. And someone else was like, oh, I'm feeling the pressure of like, I want to explore, but there's people watching, and all that kind of stuff. And so I just said to them, like, I want you to really focus on this next session, this next few minutes, having fun. Like, you don't have to be good. You don't have to prove yourself. You've already proven yourself. You've got your YouTube channel with your millions of followers. So you're already good. You got it.
Right.
And you have to impress me because I have no expectations from you other than just have fun. So there is no being good. Let's get rid of that. And I think as adults, and I heard on this TED Talk about children, women or girls will go towards something they know they're good at. They won't try anything else. And boys will try anything because there's for some reason not a pressure to be good at anything. But as we become adults, we don't want to be, we're like, well, I'm an adult. I can't fail at this. I can't be bad at this. I need to prove myself. So we never try anything unless we expect that we'll be good at it. And I found myself doing that. I would take a class and think, well, I have to be good at this because I've always been the A-star student. If I don't be good at it, well, what does that say about my identity? So I saw them very at the beginning. And as we went through the class, oh my gosh, the anxiety just dropped. The playfulness came in. They forgot the cameras were there, like 100% forgot they were even being watched. And you could see these barriers go down, and they were just being, like, we say this authentic self, like it's this elusive, like, well, what is that? How do I get to be my authentic self?
Yeah.
But it's a weird sort of, well, once you stop thinking about it, it comes out, right?
There it is.
If you've ever seen,
like all of a sudden.
Right, there it is.
Yeah.
If you've seen somebody who's drunk, if you've seen somebody be super angry, their emotions that's their authentic self, because there isn't the filter. You're so angry in the moment that you're like, or you're terrified. When you're in high state of emotion, that's when you see your authentic self, or when you have alcohol and you got that filter on you. So when you're constantly like, people are watching me, people are judging me, people are criticizing me, that's when you're not your authentic self. But it was just beautiful to see people totally let go of it.
Well, I'm going to call out Simon Sinek here because, Simon, you need to listen to my show. But you also need to get in touch with Kat, because Simon talked just the other day. I think I just listened to a podcast. You know, he was saying that leaders spend so much time inside their industry, on their industry, with their industry, looking at numbers and data and whatever, trying to get better at that. And he said, you won't get better at it until you step outside of your industry and look at what others are doing in other industries. Go do something completely different.
Yeah.
And so my invitation to you is, ladies and gentlemen, Simon Sinek, go do something completely different and get these leaders to take Kat's class, because getting outside of A, first of all, your comfort zone, B, looking at the world, even if it's momentarily, from a different set of eyes. And there's just very few opportunities where you really do get to step into these proverbial shoes, even though they might be high heels with feathers on them. The moment you get gain that perspective, the moment you've stepped outside of your own biases and you've stepped outside of your own inhibitions, and you begin to see the world and from just a slightly different angle, you can then begin to apply and approach the problem solving and issues and things you deal with as an executive leader, as a coach, or whatever in your business. You can probably begin to see some things differently and new that you hadn't seen before. And it requires this leap. It requires this really getting out of that comfort zone, and then it's a practice. You do need to practice it. You're not going to be invited every week, by the way, to go to a workshop where you get to spit fire, and do a striptease to a speech that you wrote for a sales pitch. Like that right there is going to ask of you things that would never be asked of you, but it's also going to make you grow, and it's going to make you think different. It's going to tap into some of the things that maybe genuinely, by the way, and authentically, you do so well already, but you just lost the hone of that. You haven't sharpened that tool enough, and there's really no other way to sharpen it but really get out there and do some of these things. So thank you.
And just to supplement
that,
what you're saying, I did do a session. I did a whole day session for this corporate group that was all like leaders, like, coming out of their comfort zone kind of thing. And it was all people who were an expert in their field, but moving into a different one. So there was someone from the military who was going to now start doing talks on PTSD. And there was someone who was in the law, and he was going to go off and coach people in like morality in the law or something like that. So they were all already a professional, but now branching out. So I'm doing this burlesque class followed by FIRE for this mishmash of different people, like all different ages, different sizes, different races, different cultures. And right next to me is this like older gentleman who I'm thinking may be at least twice my age. And I'm like, oh, I've got my work cut for me here. I thought, no, just softly. Like, I'm just going to I'm not going to push, but like just, and at the end, because everyone sort of does a little performance at the end, he did this, and I say, select the music you want, select the costume pieces you want, and then we worked on this movement. So he selected this really upbeat, cheesy song. He put on a pair of bunny ears and a chef's apron, and he did this beautiful little hoppity fun dance. And I was like, that version of you, rather than the stuffy I'm in a suit lawyer guy, like we all fall in love with that person. So show us more of that. And I said, what did you get out of this? He goes, I haven't had fun in like 20 years. And I need to bring fun into what I do. Yes. I can't just stand up there and lecture and give the facts, flip chart. I need to make it fun. And like, I hadn't really grasped that until right now. And I was like, there you go. Like that.
Well, I call these people my transition tribe. A lot of people that listen to this show are in transition. And by that, I don't necessarily mean transitioning from, male to female or the LGBT community.
In your life. Yeah.
100% supportive of your transition as well, because that is a real legit thing to get to your authenticity and express your authenticity, by the way. There's probably very few real authentic representations of what it means to chase authenticity than those who are actively recreating their bodies and their lives. Yeah. And this expression of it through the color and makeup and hair, whatever it is that you do that expresses yourself, that's 100% getting into it, right? But I call this the transition tribe because we're shifting from I'm starting a new business, I'm going back to school, I'm starting a new career, I'm stepping up in leadership. You're transitioning, as you pointed out, from who and what you were here into something that you want to be over here. And that little, well, I mean, little, I apologize for that. I don't mean to diminish it at all. That step, that journey, that leap from one point to the other in terms of transitioning is the space where we discover a lot of things. The list is probably endless, but this is the journey of the Fearless Road. This is where the Fearless are born. This is where character is built. This is where people discover pieces of themselves that they might have forgotten about or lost. And like that gentleman said, having fun. Well, having fun, legitimately feeling like you're having fun, right? I believe is tied to vulnerability. I believe you have to be vulnerable to really be available to have fun. Part of that is being able to make fun of yourself. Part of that is, and I don't mean that disparagingly, like a lot of us can do a lot of, self talk that is not positive or whatever, but poking fun at oneself is a good sense of humor about some of your weaknesses and flaws and able to bring some of those things up to make fun of yourself. So it's not so heavy, right? But that also allows you, when you're in that vulnerable space, now you're primed to have fun because you can now enjoy and embrace any of the new and different and things that might come along because you're not at risk for thinking too much about yourself. You're not at risk for overthinking about my persona and how I'm going to be perceived. You're just 100% being you. And now you're ready to have a good time. And I think that's kind of cool. Because I don't think a lot of workshops and programs are like yours where what kind of fun are you going to have? Not that you can't enjoy yourself, but true fun. I agree with you. I think there's a lot of people who could use.
What's even better is that it's not, people would say that Vixen DeVille, my burlesque persona, was either like a character I'm hiding behind or a mask I'm hiding behind, or it's something I'm creating. It's different from Kat. But what I'm saying is that I'm excavating, like I would have when I was younger, put on Kat, the shy, quiet person, as my mask, because the shy, quiet person didn't get criticized and didn't get judged. So it's just finding the parts of yourself that you've lost. It's like I used to be able to speak some German. I toured in Germany for 4 months and I got pretty close to fluent German. I haven't used it for ages. If you don't use a certain skill, you lose it. Like I can't really play piano anymore. I can't speak German. There's, whatever. But if in your past life, so say you're transitioning into this new life of whatever it is, entrepreneurship, whatever, in your past life, there's maybe skills or activities that you did that then you didn't do because you didn't need them in your current life, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So you've learned to not use them. And then you've forgotten that you used to have them. You've forgotten that you had certain skills and certain qualities. So all I'm doing in this class is now saying, cool, you now can be this whole new version of yourself. So let's unearth what we've lost. What did you used to do as a kid? What did you used to do when you're 15? What interests did you have? How did you spend your time? What were you told you shouldn't be? Like, what did you learn wasn't good? Like, oh, I shouldn't do ballet because I'm male, or I shouldn't do this because it's disgusting, or whatever. I shouldn't wear red shoes because they're for prostitutes. I don't know what people say, but you've been told a lot of bullshit, right? You've been told a lot of stuff, and you learned to be a certain way for the life that you had. So great. Now we've got a new life, a new environment. And just in the same way that I go from the habit of being in London, never wearing sunscreen, to now being in LA and being someone who wears sunscreen a lot, like it's just you're in a different environment, different qualities are required for you in that environment. So let's rediscover the person that you are, rather than going, I would never do that. I'm not the sort of person to get up and speak. I'm not the sort of person who would ride a horse. I'm not the sort of person who's good at math. I'm not the sort of person. How do you know? You learned to be a certain person, and now we can have a rebirth, a recoming of age, and rediscover what really is lying underneath all that belief.
Yes. And yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. And this of course goes back to when I was talking about conforming. We're our society is built on rewarding us for conforming. but nothing, I don't think it's ever more evident, or at least it feels that way to me. Pardon me while I adjust this. I just want to make sure I'm looking at, I have my windows and things open so that I can be on top of things, my schedule. So in my speech, one of the things I talk about that I believe, that I've, on my journey that I've discovered, kids, we are born with specific things that we learn how to do. Two fears, the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. But the other thing that humans are born with naturally that we do is storytelling and dreaming. In fact, the reason why I came to this conclusion, or at least I should say I got down this far, was I was writing about some of the first stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves. What do you think about some of the first things you used to say about yourself to yourself? And I was like, oh yeah, well, if I don't wear this outfit, I don't have these proper jeans, or if I don't cut my hair like this, they won't like me. If I don't date this person, or if I don't get good grades, and my parents won't be happy if I don't make this sports team. And I was like, no, actually, that's not the first ones. The OG stories we told ourselves when we were 5 and 6 on the playground, pretending to be a superhero, pretending to be a space astronaut or a cowboy, whatever it was you dreamt of being. That was the first stories you told yourself about yourself, that you could be anything. And it wasn't until later that these little self-doubts, this should syndrome that you're talking about, that we get shoulded to death about, you shouldn't be this, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't dress this way, you shouldn't talk like that, you shouldn't eat this thing, you shouldn't dress like this, you shouldn't go there. I mean, my God, that list is endless about who's going to tell you what you should and shouldn't do in your life. When along that journey, you, by the way, and this is something they were saying to you was, how you're hiding behind this persona, as opposed to it being your authentic self. And I'm like, who in this world can stand in front of me and honestly tell me you think you're being the most authentic version of yourself, and that you haven't edited out pieces of yourself over the last 15, 20, 30 years of your life in order to be something better for someone else, right? We've all done it. We've all practiced it. We did it in kindergarten. We did it in junior high. We did it at the dance. We did it in college to fit in. We all began editing away the pieces of ourselves that we perceived would have the potential to interfere with our perception of success, or being perceived as fun and lovable, likable, appreciable, whatever, right? Fill in the mix. And if that meant that you went off to school to be a baseball player or a football player, or you went to go be a dancer at college, or you went to go into accounting or physics or the biology, you fit the mold. You adjusted, changed your outfit, changed your persona, changed the way you performed and behaved in that circle to fit what you thought they really wanted. What would be the best version of that? We've all done it. In fact, that's what humans are good at. We are brilliant at reinventing ourselves. We are brilliant at creating stories for ourselves. We are brilliant at dreaming up the most amazing things you can ever think of. Hello, look around you world. We can fly through the skies. We got skyscrapers everywhere, amazing bridges, incredible architecture, cars that drive on electricity. Like, we are dreamers and builders. It is no wonder that we become entrepreneurs. It is no wonder that we, the entrepreneurs of this world, are the ones doing the hard work, trying to find new dreams, trying to build new pathways, trying to excite the world around new ideologies and new thought patterns and new processes and services and goods. Because we're built to do this. But simultaneously, right alongside this journey of building these dreams and becoming something bigger and different, is the part of us that doubts, is the part of us that fears, is the part of us that worries. And that isn't outside of us. It isn't coming from somewhere else. It isn't coming from outside. It's right here. And embracing that fear, embracing that relationship with those parts of yourself that might not always get enough attention, might be a little awkward and different and weird. That's what Kat offers us. That's what her program gives us, a little bit of insight to loving the inner part of ourselves that, while it may or may not be authentic, you don't know unless you ask, and you certainly don't know unless you go on a journey of self-discovery to find what parts of you are authentic. Because I think somewhere along the way, we forgot. I think somewhere along the way, we forget, gosh, I really liked doing that when I was 7. I really loved
Yeah.
riding my bicycle and I haven't ridden a
Yeah.
bicycle in 50 years. Why not? Like, what's holding me?
And
Why did I stop
it's
doing the
also
things that give me fun?
checking in, like you said, what do I like doing? Because I remember
Well,
being
it
with
could have
certain
changed too.
friends. It could have changed, but also how like I might have learned that I only like horror films because the people I used to hang out with all liked horror films. Or
Yep.
I remember going to a film with a boyfriend and he was like, oh God, that was terrible. And I went home, my mom went, how was the film? And I went, oh, it was terrible. I thought, no, but was it though? And I just repeating what he said. What did I actually think about that film? And so we might have hobbies or activities or beliefs or whatever they are that we don't know what feeling, like I call them yummy feelings. And knowing whether you like broccoli or like cauliflower and the difference between them, or whether you like rice or like pasta, like unless you taste it and then compare it with something that you don't like, and you know what I want this feels like and I don't want this feels like, if you just have the numb, tell me what to like, I don't even know what preferences feels like. And so I really have my students I give them options. I don't say, here's the music we're going to do today, or here's a movement that we're going to do today. I let them be kind of like the kid in the sandpit. What toy do you want to play with, kid? What would you like to eat for lunch? Like, you make your choices so you can experience it and then go, actually, no, I really didn't like that. Or actually, oh my God, I really like that. I didn't know that I liked that. And getting in touch with, this feels aligned, this doesn't feel aligned, I think is also something we can lose because we're just doing what the company told us, what our parents told us, what our partner told us. So that's a really muscle to exercise as well.
Okay. Yes. Sorry, my brain is going into this area. Alignment, like you said, we sometimes abdicate responsibility for our own desires and needs because it's just easier to get along. It's just easier to just do what everybody else does. You know what I mean? And so what you do is you and that's, I'm not arguing against that. I think that's fine. We all need to know when a battle is, when the hill is necessary to climb and when it's not necessary to climb. It's like, just go along and get along, right? There's some things where I'm like, go along, get along. You're clearly an outlier here. You're just going to ruffle feathers. Is it worth your time and theirs to bring up your different opinion or your idea? And sometimes I think that's valid. I think that's fair. But the reason why I bring that up is I think we've gotten so comfortable and good at doing that to ourselves that we fall into. In fact, this is one of my things my yogi instructor says, which I love. Travis Elliott talks about, you will always fall to your best practices. So if you are only practicing X all the time, then when you do falter, you will falter to a level of X because that's where your sense memory is, that's where your practice is, that's where your art or whatever is, that's where that lies. And if you go back and you look and you're like, oh my God, my practice is down here. It isn't elevated. It isn't open. It isn't, ready for change and opportunity. It's just in that comfort zone of acceptable, tolerable, limited, right? Because I'm too tired to think differently. I don't want to try. It's so much of an effort. Like the things that we say in our heads that slowly chip away at our identity, our authenticity, and our originality, which is where you and I are saying, no. We need that. That's what the world wants. That's what society needs. This is what corporations need, is this original thinking, authentic self. And we're asking you, brave ones, fearless road warriors, to continue to do that, bring that forward, and try to find new and identify ways to practice bringing that out in entrepreneurs and leadership. And I think one of the ways is this course is incredible. Like, I think this journey of, dress up and play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why do we have that as kids? I mean, think about from a psychological, we should probably have a psychologist on here, a child psychologist. Dress up and play. Dress up and play is such a crucial process for kids in their early development stages and their brain development stages. Why? Well, apparently, and I'm just going to pull this out of my ass, Apparently, it benefits the neuroplasticity of the brain for their ability to identify with the world around them and build an environment that feels familiar to them by seeing how they interact with the world, right? By identifying who I am in comparison to the things around me. Not judgment, comparison. There's a difference between saying, I am this compared to that, as opposed to that is good and I'm not, right?
Right.
And
Absolutely.
I think we have to be very careful when teaching kids about this, because kids will default very quickly to judging as opposed to comparing. Comparison can be the killer of ingenuity and creativity for those of us who are adults going, oh, I'm not as good as. That's not comparing. That's judging. If you're doing that, you're judging yourself, you're judging your technique, you're judging your skill sets, you're not comparing. Comparing is saying, that's what that offers. This is what I offer. Here's how they're different without the
Here's
judgment.
an apple. Here's an orange. This one's orange colored. This one's green. There is no good or bad. It's the different color. This one's like hard when you bite into it. This one has a peel that I peel off it. Yeah. Okay, cool. Like, do I like that? Do I not like that? Do I want to make mine more like that, less like that? But you're not saying it's good or bad. It's just, how are these two things different? Oh, interesting, as asking the questions.
And yes, and asking the questions is what I think you do in that workshop, which I don't think we allow ourselves. We do that for kids. You know, you can see parents doing that in restaurants and stuff. We're like, well, what would you like? Well, let's take a look. Like, no, we don't go to sit and go like, well, what would I like, Michael? Well, how would you like? Like, I don't ask myself. I just choose things based on, I don't know, whatever the data is that's floating through my head, and whatever makes it past the filters, right? Suddenly becomes the thing you do. And if you're tired, hungry, angry, whatever, you know, your choices might get limited even further because you don't have the energy to even try. So you default to somebody else's choices, whoever's at the dinner table that's the loudest decided on chicken. Well, we're eating chicken, I guess, so who cares? But I think that speaks to a larger point, which is if we've become a society that by default edits or compromises our self and our identity and what we want because it's easier or more convenient, or we've told ourselves this, we're cheating the world, and we're cheating ourselves, by the way, of bringing our own brilliance and creativity and originality to every situation that's out there. I don't know. I think I just got off on a soapbox platform on this one. And so I guess my point is, Kat brings the OG. So yeah, if you're going to get original and you want to find yourself and you want to find true happiness through a workshop that allows you to ask, what do you want today? And you haven't asked that question before, and you haven't been asking that question in a long time, I would encourage you definitely to check out Kat's course or workshop and classes. But if you can't, ask yourself, not just what do I want? Maybe ask yourself, why do I want it? Maybe that's the bigger question.
I'm all about the why. When I start my students on anything they ask me, I want to move. I want to start doing fire. I want to apply for this thing. I want to start producing. I want to make this new costume. I'm always like, start with your why, because that is driving you.
I'm telling you,
everything.
2023 is the year of the why for me. I don't know if it is for anybody else, but when I started this journey for motivational speaking with Speaker Lab, when I started it for the podcasting, when I started it with all these different things, it was identify your why. It was understanding the purpose and the why. And if your why doesn't make you cry, then your why isn't strong enough, right? And now it's like, why? I'm 53. How come I didn't know my why? This whole time I haven't had a why. How have I made it through this world without a why? Everybody else has a why. Why don't I have a why? Why do I have a why?
I love looking at it with habits. I like looking at it with habits as well. Like, I hate paying for parking in LA, and like I don't want to do valet. And part of me,
and everyone else, sweetheart.
Right. And I was driving to, and it's not that it's going to be a through line, but I was driving to this thing, and the valet was like $10, and I thought, I'm not paying that $10. I thought, why? And I thought, because I know I can just park around the corner. Why is it? Even if I have millions of even if I was a millionaire, I always do that. What would a millionaire do? Even if I was a millionaire right now, I would refuse to pay that $10 because I could literally just park there. Then I went to an event. I was super late for it. I was in the show. I had to get my parking. And I thought, I don't want to pay valet. I thought, but why? I thought, because I'm being pedantic. To be fair, they're providing me a service. I'm late. There's nowhere else to park. It's worth me $10 to just park my freaking car.
Hello.
So looking at your why, like, oh, I really want to drink right now. Why? Oh, I'm just going to eat this kind of whatever. Why? But check in. Is it a habit? Is it learned? Is it because it's just something that your friends would do? And I've started doing that with every mini little thing I'm doing. Oh, I should put makeup on for this podcast. Why though? Do you feel the pressure? Is it going to make you feel better? Is it, I love it. I love doing it with everything.
Well, and this is, the thing that they drilled down on when asking the why, for developing your expert positioning statement for your speaking.
Yeah.
Or even if you're doing a podcast and you want your why, you go, well, I think it's because blah, blah, blah. Well, why? Well, because I think I can deliver this. Why? Well, but I think it'll do good if I do X. Why? And I was like, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that little 7-year-old son of a who just sits there going,
the one who keeps saying why? Yeah.
Why?
I just said that was making my mom crazy.
But
7 whys.
Do you remember the feeling that it gives you where you're like, fuck, I don't have an answer for the 7th why. Like, I don't know why. Because, like, how many of us don't? And I know that kid's just being a kid and they're just asking why. But it really does test you, and it really does ask, have you thought about your why? If you can't take your why down 3, 4, 5 different iterations and really get down to it, why are you doing whatever it is that you're doing? If you don't know why, it kind of begs the question, why? That's an
I think knowing your why is what makes you fearless, because you're like, well, I absolutely need to do this thing because I have this why. And if you don't have your why, you're going to find an excuse to give up. You're going to find a reason to sort of hold back and not complete.
Yes.
And
if your why is not strong enough, all the other excuses and reasons will easily outplay it. They will easily create procrastination. They will easily seep in to your schedule. They'll get onto your Calendly when you're not looking, because your why is what is your compass. It is the piece that you use to navigate the world and your life. And if you don't have that, then you are kind of at the whim of the winds and the waves of life, because you don't have a rudder and you don't have a sail and you're not exactly sure which way you're going, because that why is too loose, right? That why is too easily manipulated and influenced. So it's good stuff. Get your why, folks. Find out your why.
Get your why. Find your why.
I always ask my guests about their OG story, their origin story with fear. Do you have an origin story with fear? Like, how do you know? First of all, I ask, what is your relationship with fear? Because I think people need to know you have one. You may not know it yet, but we all have a relationship with fear. And secondly, if you do have a relationship with fear, do you know what your OG story is with it? Like the first time you can remember dealing with fear and addressing it head on.
I'm trying to go as far back as possible. And I had a fear of going to school. I had a fear of my brother because he was very aggressive and very loud. I think I had a fear of going to sleep. Like, I would stay up really, really late at night and ask my mom to like read me another story, because I didn't want to go to sleep. Because I think my dad had died when I was very young. And I think I learned that if you go to sleep, people go missing, kind of thing. So
yeah,
like, if I go to sleep, like, I need to be on. I need to be like on patrol. I can't go to sleep and let the night guard go off, sort of thing. I don't remember why I hated school so much. I know I was kind of bullied in school later on, but not when I was like 5 or 6. I just hated going. But again, maybe it was the leaving the home and leaving my mom, being like, my mom's my only parent now. Like, I need to make sure she's okay, otherwise something will happen to her. But I remember, talking about fear, I remember being scared of my brother when he got really aggressive and loud. And then thinking, I'm going to use this as practice. Like, I would go headlong into it and like actually fight him or actually like have the argument. Yeah. Because I thought, I can practice fighting somebody. I can practice winning someone at an argument so that when it's not my brother and it's someone in the street or it's an aggressor, I've been there before. I really strongly remember, like, let me use this as practice, which I guess is kind of like, you know, when you have a bunch of like lion cubs and they're all play fighting each other, they're just kind of practicing the thing. So yeah, I guess if you boil that down to, I felt the fear and did it anyway. Like I just went
And I
into the
think that's
fire of it.
key. Like, first of all, feeling the fear and doing it anyway, which I want to come back to momentarily. But then when you were mentioning about the fear of going to sleep, and it occurred to me when we were kids and we do our prayers, nighttime prayers. You know, not everybody does them, but when you do
Yeah, I
nighttime
never
prayers,
did.
and you say the one that's I'm going to say, bless us, O Lord, for these thy gifts, but that's at the dining room table, so that doesn't count. Yabba dub dub, yay for the grub. This one is the one that says, and if I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. And I just realized, oh my God, what is a 7-year-old supposed to do with that concept? Like, what are you supposed
Thinking
to
they
do?
might die
Say
in
your
their
prayers?
sleep.
Yes, if you
Right?
die, like, bless your family before you close your eyes, because you could die.
Yeah.
Like, what
Yeah.
kind of a horrible situation? I'm not going to rest. I mean, how many years did I not rest? Because I was like, oh, I'll close my eyes. What if I don't wake up? What if I haven't blessed all the right people and then they don't go to heaven because I didn't bless my uncle or I forgot somebody on the list? Like, that pressure. That's pretty insane to put on a 7-year-old, instead of just saying, let's just pray for everybody and hope they have a great day or they get some good rest.
Yeah.
You know, rockabye baby, and, you know, if the bow breaks, I mean, talk about terrible songs and things to teach children.
It's like, if you ever switch off, if you ever stop, if you don't sleep with one eye open, bad things are gonna happen. That's so
Lord,
funny.
it's no wonder, you know, no wonder. And I give you permission, parents, to do it differently. And I tell you kids out there, it's okay. Like, one day you're going to wind up older like us and need a dance class to help you figure out why you can't close your eyes when you go to sleep at nighttime. So
Wow.
we just solved a world problem. So that's your OG story. That's your origin story of fear. Which I love that you thought of it as practice. It's one of the things, you know, when I was looking at my relationship with fear and trying to find out why I approached the things in my life, the tragedies and the different incidences in my life different than apparently other people did. I didn't know this. Of course, you don't have the opportunity to compare your life to other people's experiences until you get older and you start asking the questions. You just assume every kid on the block was bullied. You just assume everybody ended up with divorced parents. You just assume people always ate, you know, mayo and peanut butter, you know, didn't they? Like, not that was my treat because I didn't eat that.
Everyone's the same.
You think so? Do you know what I mean? Because you operate from inside the own little framework of your own little world with your own little filters and your own little experiences, and so that's what you have. And until you realize that, you know, that you didn't do things the way other people did, and that you possibly do have a different relationship with fear and anxiety and challenges, that you approach the world differently. Do you think that moment and then the practiced moments that you did after that changed the way that you approached life from then on forward? And as a result, were able to take on certain things that other people would have shied away from?
I'm trying to really think of an honest answer.
Well, I think, okay, so let me take you to when you were talking about how you got into the dancing, right? Was you were intimidated by it, but then you really wanted to do it anyway, right? That part of you that wanted to practice the art of arguing with your brother, fighting with your brother, so that you could be skilled and prepared for that in the future out in the world, meant two things. One is you saw it as an opportunity. Two, you understood already and instinctually in the world that there were going to be moments when you won't get to argue just with your brother. You won't be in this comfortable, safe space where doing so allows you an out, where you can tag out or you can do whatever. But you're going to be in the real world one day, and that isn't an option. So being better at holding your own or making your argument stick or debating was of value to you?
It got me. I think what the pattern is that it was let's see how bad this really is. Rather than shutting my door and cowering my room and fearing the unknown, which I know most of my fears now are in the unknown. I get nervous if I don't know a certain thing. If I don't know what the venue is going to be, or I don't know what the situation is going to be. I don't know who's meeting me at the airport. I get fear of the unknown. So what I've done in the past is, well, let's find out. Let's see how bad it actually really is. Let's go face into it so that I'm not fearing the unknown anymore. Because if the bad thing happens, well, then it happened. And then I knew and I found out. So when I was thinking about moving to LA, I was like, oh, I'm not sure if I need a visa or don't need a visa or how difficult it is. And everyone goes, well, it's difficult. It's going to be this. Well, let's just find out. Let's start calling some people and finding out. And, if I've ever got into trouble, it's like, well, let me just make some calls and find out what is the severity of this? What does this really mean? Like if I've ever I had a growth I thought could have been cancer at one point. And my friend was like, well, let's just see what it, I was like, let me just find out. Let me just go to the doctors, get it checked out. I'd rather know. I'd rather just know, and I can deal with the bad thing. And I think that's my favorite one is I went to San Francisco and I was looking at like hotels to stay in because I was working. So I thought I don't need a really nice hotel. I just need somewhere to like lie down for like 6 hours at night. And all of these reviews were like, there's homeless people and it's this and it's that. And I was like, yeah, but there's homeless people in LA down where I live. So it's not like, are these really legitimate bad reviews, or is it just someone who doesn't know what it's like to be around homeless people? So I thought, I'm not letting fear make me then pay ridiculous amounts for a hotel that I'm not even going to be in for half the time. This is just stupid ass fear. So I booked this hotel. I looked at it on Google Maps. It looks kind of okay. I got to the hotel room and I thought, I'm going to see what's around. I'm going to see how bad the homelessness is. I'm going to see how grody it is. I'm going to see if it's kind of like gangs around. And so I put on my leather jacket and I embodied my badass burlesque persona, and I left all my valuables so I wasn't carrying. And I just walked around the block. And I thought, great, if someone tries to attack me, I'll run. I'll do the thing. But at least then I'll know what's outside my hotel room, rather than sitting in the hotel room going, oh God, I heard a bang. I heard this noise. I heard this. Oh, what is going on out there? Well, then find out. Now I know. It's all good. I think that's what I've learned.
What you have here, or what you're describing to me, is what are you capable of, right? Finding out what you're capable of.
Find out what you're capable of.
And if what you believe you're capable of is, let me rephrase it. If what you believe the world is capable of is greater than what you're capable of, you will cower and you will hide.
Yeah.
But the minute you find out what you're capable of is the moment you're no longer in fear of the unknown. Like, what do you think the world's capable of doing to you? What do you think those homeless people might be doing if you get near them, or any of those, what do you say, the unknowns, right? That's you putting power and building up what the world is capable of, not what you're capable of. And I think
that's so interesting.
Shifting that, if you could just understand and take the chance, like Kat has done here in her life, is you ask the question, wait, what am I capable of in this moment and in this scenario? I don't know these answers. I don't know these outcomes. I don't know these things. But if I put myself out there, I will find out very quickly, A, what I'm capable of, B, whether or not they're true, and then C, I will have enough information and evidence to make an educated decision about my next step, which most of us don't do. And like a lot of people don't do. I mean, I think
teaching yourself that you're capable of. I tell my students, like, teach yourself that you complete. Teach yourself that when you give yourself a challenge, you succeed. And the reason I become more fearless is because I've taken risks, many risks, and low stakes risks. But I've taken them and I've embarked on endeavors and I've completed them, so that now when I do take a risk or I am faced with something, I have this back catalog of proof that I can do these things.
Yes.
And that is what we're doing. Like, in the rehearsal room, try this thing, and now you know you can do it on stage. I try being a certain way as Vixen DeVille, so I now know when I'm out in the real world as Kat, I can say those things, do those things, and the bad thing isn't going to happen. It's absolutely like practicing Taekwondo in the dojo, and now when you're out on the street, you've got that learned muscle memory. So practicing in that, like the playground, it is play. Exactly, it's a whole circle. It's play fighting. Do it in the place where it's low stakes. You're safe environment, whatever it is, so that then you have that as memory, as proof, so that you can take that into the battlefield with you, wherever it is you're going, knowing that I can do this thing, I am capable of this thing. And you believe in yourself rather than believing all the bullshit lies.
Oh, and I think that's so... Yay, I think we discovered something here. I think this is a
That's
nugget.
what we discovered. That felt really... I was like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, the tingly feel.
That's the big nugget. The big nugget for today of the golden nugget to this mining field.
Practice.
Well, it's not just the practice, but it's the rehearsing of what you're capable of. It's the...
Yeah.
I think when you're out of practice, finding out... Like, by the way, when we're kids, all you do is practice to find out what you're capable of. Everything you do is a test to see how much more you can do. Walking, running, riding a bicycle, jumping off of something, practicing a sport or an instrument or whatever. Every step along that way is a reimagining of what you can do, a testing of your skill sets to see if you can try to do it, and then a confirmation of whether or not you've got what it takes to take that next step. And if you don't, you reiterate and you find little smaller steps and then you get there, right? As we get older, once we're adults, the practice of being a person, the practice of adulthood, the practice of an art form or anything else like that really diminishes, I guess. And so we're out of practice at practicing being ourselves.
Yeah.
And so this is a great thing. This is another, what you're capable of. If in that moment, if you're fearful of something, have an anxiety about something, ask yourself this question. Is what you're fearful of, is what you have anxiety for, is it a concept that what's outside of you is bigger and more capable than you? And if that statement is not true, if it cannot be true, meaning it's not possible for the world to be bigger and more than me, I can be bigger and better than all this, I can try. How do you reframe it? How do you put this in your brain? Like, for me, if I were to stop and ask the question, is what's currently happening bigger than me, and is it more capable than I am in enduring it, dealing with it, overcoming it, solving it, right? And 9 times out of 10, no. I've like you said, I've already fallen 8,000 times. I've done the risk, and I've broken, and I've hurt, and I've done all those things, and I'm still here today to say, oh, yeah, it didn't kill me. I'm not going to die if I try that. Oh, it's no big deal. Because I've already done it, and I have, like you say, the lexicon of data and information sitting behind me where I can confidently walk and go, oh, yeah, I can give that a try. I think that's what's different about a lot of us as entrepreneurs, visionaries, leaders, subject matter experts and stuff, is that what we know we can try to do is a bigger laundry list than what we don't think we're capable of.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
That what we
try
think
it out with
we
fun.
can try. Yeah.
Yeah. Try it out with fun. I have this weird relationship with driving. I didn't learn to drive. I learned to drive when I was 17 and I failed my test. So I never drove because I was based in London, didn't need a car, blah, blah, blah. Came to LA. Oh, now I need to drive because it's LA, right? So I learned to drive in my late 20s in a stick shift in London, and then flew for 10 hours, super jet lagged, got on a different continent, got into a rental car that is not stick shift on the other side of the road, and then had to drive it for an hour to where I was living. And I'm like, what is life? So I have this kind of like, if someone's in the car with me and I know they can drive, and this has changed the last couple of years, but it used to be that I was like, oh my God, they're judging my driving. They think I'm terrible. Or if someone was in the car who couldn't drive, I'm a super cool driver. Look at me driving. And I had this kind of like obsession with like, if I've got a big SUV, like I don't know how to drive it. Oh, so I got booked for this gig over in Kansas City, and they're like, we'll rent you a car, pick it up at the airport, and then drive it to the event. And it's this big SUV, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how to. And I'm like an adult. I can't ask for help. I thought, Kat, just stop, just do it. Just ask this child for help. This guy looks like he's 16. I was like, hi. I don't know how to drive this spaceship. Could you show me how to do it? And there's like a button to press and everything else. I felt so old. I felt like the old person going, show me how to use a telephone. But on the way to this place in Kansas City, I thought, why can't this be fun? Why isn't this a kid driving a go-kart? Just be like, look at my life. I get to drive this really souped up, crazy ass car
Yeah.
in the middle of a town I've never been to. Isn't this fun? And I've learned to say, isn't this fun, rather than, oh my God, I'm terrified. Isn't this fun? Because terrified and excited can be the same thing. And
Yeah.
now I've had a driver's SUV recently, and it's great. It's fun because I proved to myself back in Kansas City that I can do this. So whenever something comes up that's a bit like, oh my God, just thought, oh, isn't this fun? This is new. This is different. This is fun.
There you
Let's
go.
let's
Like a
just see
verbal,
how
a
this is
verbal
going.
acknowledgement of, oh, this is interesting and different. We can
This
do
is
this.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's find out. I have started doing that recently. Like the let's find out. Oh, I'm worried about this. Well, let's just find out. Let's find out how it's going to go.
A friend of mine took me to Six Flags. This is a few years ago. I was in my 40s. And I used to, as a kid, used to love roller coasters, used to love all those things. And here I am, 40-some-odd years of age. It's been over 20-some-odd years since I've been on one. And I was quite frankly terrified because I was like, oh my God, I've been on these roller coasters in forever. And there's part of me that was legitimately frightened. And I was like, what is this feeling?
Right.
And
because you hadn't practiced.
I hadn't practiced. Let me tell you this. We were there for 8 hours that day. I rode every single terrifying roller coaster. And the scarier the roller coaster was, the more I laughed my ass off.
Oh my God, I love it.
I laughed so hard. I had tears pouring out of my face. My friend was sitting next to me, grasping the, grip of death on everything as we literally fly through flames, throwing over you know what I mean? Like roller coasters aren't what they used to be, like little rickety things. Nowadays it's like it flips upside down. You fly underneath, you get the flames are blowing into the waterfall. Like, but the scarier it got, the more I laughed. I mean, I just came unglued spiritually. And I was like, what is that? Like, where did that come from? Why is that guy giddy as a child running around, risking everything on these roller coasters and having such a blast? And I think that's part of what I think we get to discover with Kat in your workshop is it's a bit of a roller coaster ride. You get to discover that part of you that laughs at being afraid. It just has that moment of terrified giddiness, but excitement at the same time. And then telling yourself it's going to be fine. You're not going to die. Nothing's going to happen. And then you're going to find out something about yourself and about the world that you may or may not have known before. Amazing. I don't want to end this conversation because I still want to keep talking to you. But I have to sort of wrap things up. So a couple of things I want to ask first. Like, one, like any major milestones or challenges coming up for you in the rest of 2023. This is August of 2023. So like anything we should know about that's coming up for you that you're facing, that you need to address or whatever that we are for 2023?
I launched my first year-long program in February 2023. And I then did a 3-day in-person event in February, and then that was a soft launch, and then I did a 3-day online event in June as like my sort of next soft launch, and then December 2023 I'm going to do my 3-day that's like, okay, I did it in June, I've tweaked it a bit, massaged it a bit, so this will be like the full-on launch of Vixen DeVille Burlesque Academy. It's doing the year-long embracing burlesque, getting people to commit to working with me for a year. And so it really is me stepping up my business and my entrepreneurship to have invested in building the course and, promoting people. I've got 3 to 5 people signed up with it already. I've got like 3 because 2 of them have signed up for half of the year. So it's like that kind of, I've got my people, but to go into 2024, I really want, I don't want it to have been a fluke in June. I want now December to be like, no, this works. This is something people want and appreciate and will sign up for and everything else. So it's the sort of, that watershed, that December is going to be the, am I really a grown-up entrepreneur?
Well,
I've been doing it since 2014.
I think the answer is going to be a resounding yes from our listeners and our audiences. Everybody get out there, get online, go to Kat Lacohie's website and sign up for this. Let's break some records for 2024 for her and really help her launch this forward. So if we want to find out more about you, we want to sign up to spend more time with you, how would we go about doing that?
So vixendeville.com is my generic website. vixendeville.com/breakthrough is where you would sign up for the 3-day event in December. It's called Your Burlesque Breakthrough, and you're breaking through your confidence, your performance skills. If you're already a burlesque performer, you're taking it a step further. If you've never done burlesque before, you're finding how burlesque can help you have those breakthroughs, giving yourself some fun and playfulness in your life. So yeah, Your Burlesque Breakthrough is December 15th, 16th, and 17th.
December 15th, 16th, and 17th, 2023.
2023.
Can we do an episode just prior to the breakthrough to either announce the programming and like talk about what you're bringing to the class, or would you like to do one that's a follow-up to it as we go into the new year, talking about what was discovered and what was done?
I would do both. I think we should do a a before and after.
Ooh,
and then we can show how terrified. I can do how terrified I am.
That's a great idea.
Like, I was terrified. Yeah, let's do a before and after.
Okay, done. We're going to do, ladies, I just announced it here. We're going to do a before and after of the December workshop series with Kat Lacohie and the Vixen DeVille. And her workshop to help you embody your greatness and find and achieve even greater versions of yourself in 2024. So be sure to check her out. Be sure to follow her, because, by the way, this is incredible. You guys are going to have such a good time getting to know this lady and everything that she has to offer. I'm so excited to have had you on the Fearless Road, sharing your journey with me, my fellow performer, my fellow friend, and I'm glad to be able to call you that. A Kat Lacohie, Vixen DeVille Breakthrough. Ladies and gentlemen, check it out. Thank you for being here. Thanks for sharing your time with us today and your ears on this Fearless Road journey. And if you ever want to know more, you can check us out at thefearlessroad.com or on YouTube at The Fearless Road. And we have all the stuff there, all the magic. We're just bringing more of it. And here it is. So thanks, everybody. Have an amazing afternoon, day, year, and we'll see you soon. Stay fearless.